A few days ago, the new trailer of Godzilla x Kong The New Empire was released, and I have to say it looks quite interesting and has its moments. In this video we will analyze the trailer, check out the most important moments and see what it means for the upcoming movie. First we see the clip that we already saw in the first trailer. In Egypt, Kong emerges from a hole in the Hollow Earth, equipped with his new gauntlet, presumably given to him by Monarch. We then see glittering waves, followed by Godzilla, rising out of the water and destroying a bridge. Meanwhile, Dr. Andrews explains that the Titans were the guardians of the nature and the great apes became the protector of humanity. Then we see Kong and Gia. Kong appears to be weakened and injured. Luckily, Gia is by his side and gives him comfort. As we know, the two share an incredible friendship and take care of each other. However, Gia doesn't seem to be doing very well. She has nightmares and visions. It's hard to tell if it's isolated images of the future that she can see, or if it's just meant to look that way in the trailer. Gia tells Dr. Andrews that she's scared that something might be wrong with her. Dr. Andrews seems to play a very significant role in this movie, probably even more significant than in the last film. She explains that they are receiving a signal and Gia has the ability to sense it. I believe that anyone who comes from the Hollow Earth or has ancestors from there can feel this energy. In Godzilla vs. Kong, both Gia and Kong sensed that Godzilla was about to attack. However, Godzilla and Kong can feel the incoming signal as well. And this time there might be a threat bigger than Ghidorah. A threat even our two fearless titans are afraid of. Then we see a new character called Stephen Randa. Randa. A name that sounds quite familiar to me. Of course, the main family protagonists of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. But what I'm confused about is the fact that there is another Randa. I expected that the Randa bloodline ends with Kate and Kentaro, but that's obviously not the case. The only plausible explanation to me is that Stephen Randa could be a son of Bill Randa. Perhaps Bill had another wife after Keiko's disappearance into the Axis Mundi. Next we see our heroes using a new aerial vehicle in order to enter a portal to the Hollow Earth. Then some scenes with Mini Kong we already saw before. And then things start to get interesting. We are being told it's not just a signal, but a call for war. We see an entire tribe of Kongs under the rule of Scar King. Kong and Scar King get into a fight, and it can be estimated that Kong got defeated and had to retreat. Then we see two blue glowing eyes. Obviously Shimo, firing its ice breath at Kong. As Kong has no chance against Shimo, he and Godzilla once have to work together again in order to deal with the threat. The next shot is amazing. We see Shimo firing its ice breath into the sky in Rio de Janeiro. Nevertheless, back in Egypt we see Godzilla and Kong in a heavy fight, destroying the pyramids in the process. Then we see Scar King on a beach in Rio. In a city fight, Kong manages to punch Scar into the face, knocking out a tooth. After that, we see a drone fleet attacking Godzilla. Godzilla does not seem to be impressed and destroys the drones with a new atomic pulse. Back in the Hollow Earth, we see a tribe of humans living down there. Probably some ancestors of Gia or an ancient Eevee tribe. Again Mini Kong, trying to knock out another ape with a rock. In the next shot, Kong's gauntlet is being activated in order to give him the possibility to win against Scar King. The trailer ends with Godzilla and Kong shouting in the desert. Even though the trailer goes about 3 minutes and shows too much footage in my eyes, there are definitely a lot of great shots from which one can draw some conclusions. Let's start with this one. As we see, there's an entire tribe of Kongs in the Hollow Earth, and it seems they have their own society down there, based on a hierarchy, with Scar King as ruthless leader. Everyone follows his orders because they're all obviously terrified of him. If someone disrespects him or makes a mistake, Scar King will probably kill him. Kong is new to the ape society and doesn't seem to know the rules. When the Kong tribe sees that a new Kong has arrived, everyone is naturally excited and curious. But Scar King was the first in line to interact with Kong. When Scar King appears, everyone seems to be afraid and bows. When Kong arrives, it seems like the other apes admire him due to his size and appearance. Scar King, however, is anything but enthusiastic about it. Apparently, he is challenging Kong to a battle for leadership. Kong agrees, but is probably quickly defeated by Scar King and has to retreat. The scene with Gia and Kong takes probably place after the battle, as Kong seems to be injured. What really impresses me is the fact that the Kongs seem to have rituals. At the beginning and during the battle, The Kongs drum with their arms on the ground in order to make music and create a certain atmosphere. Ska King is obviously the leader of the group, but what's interesting is that Ska King is the only one of his kind. He looks like an orangutan. All the others seems to be normal Kongs. I theorized that his species went extinct and he's the only one remaining. Therefore, he looked for a group to rule over and found one. As the other Kongs saw that he was different, like bigger, other skin color and more powerful, they accepted him as leader. But I guess the main reason why they serve him is because they fear him and knew that it would be impossible to overthrow him. If we compare this tribe of Kongs to the Kong tribe on Skull Island, before Kong was born, before the attack of the Skullcrawlers, the Kong tribe there lived together in peace. Even though Kong's parents were the leader of the group, as they were the strongest ones, they never oppressed anyone. Quite the opposite. They held together like a family. When the Skullcrawlers attacked, all acted as one, risking their lives in order to drive them away. As we can see, Monarch managed to establish a controlled access to the Hollow Earth in the middle of a shore. And Kong is more than motivated to jump into it. Looks very cool to me. For some reason, the entry point resembles the time machine in Avengers used in Endgame in order to travel to the locations of the Infinity Stones to defeat Thanos. Also interesting is the new design of the Hollow Earth aerial vehicles. Due to the wings, the new heaves appear to be more flexible and maneuverable, making travel and navigation through the Hollow Earth easier. It would be interesting to know who developed these vehicles, Monarch or Apex Cybernetics. The first heaves were produced by Apex and provided to Monarch to fulfill the Hollow Earth mission. With the CEO of Apex, Walter Simmons, and his daughter dead, it is unknown whether the company has been continued and is still working with Monarch, as they had some difficulties. We discovered that there are actually people living down there in the Hollow Earth. Looks like an ancient EV tribe. That's why Gia might be the most important character, as she's the only one who can communicate with them. And maybe they have some advice or knowledge about the Titans, which could help our heroes to defeat them or support Godzilla and Kong. During Gia's vision, the digital clock changes from number to 3 pyramids. I believe those 3 pyramids are some temples in the Hollow Earth. We also got our first glimpse at Shimo, one of the 2 Titan antagonists in this movie. In the Hollow Earth, we see 2 spooky eyes staring at Kong, followed by an ice breath being fired at him. At the last second, Kong manages to grab his axe and block the attack. This is the moment when Kong's axe will probably freeze, and he needs a new weapon. That's why Monarch developed the mechanical arm called Beast Glove, Bio-Enhanced Anatomic Seismic Thunder Glove. But now the question, who is Shimo actually? Shimo is a giant reptile ice monster from Hollow Earth. He's capable of unleashing a concentrated beam of freezing ice. He shares some similarities with Godzilla. For example, he's reptilian in shape and has some sort of dorsal plates, also having the ability to fire its own breath. And it looks like he can even walk on 2 legs. A lot of information about the design we got from the toy leaks. But what caught my eye about the toy sets is this bone cage diorama. Could this mean that Shimo was locked in a bone cage for thousands of years and someone freed him? We will see. Shimo is one of the oldest titans, maybe even the first titan that ever existed. He is to blame for the first ice age. King Ghidorah has the ability to cause violent storms that spread over a large area. Maybe Shimo has a similar ability, only with ice. He has probably been in the Hollow Earth for so long that he must have managed to make use of all the environmental energy that can be obtained there. Therefore, he is perhaps the greatest threat that has ever existed. In this scene, we see Shimo firing an ice breath into the sky. As we see, the sky seems to be changing. I think he's trying to manipulate the weather and cool the local environment to his advantage. Or another possibility, he tries to take down Mothra from the sky. Why Mothra, you're asking? During Gia's vision, you can see Mothra in her eyes. I believe Mothra will return to help fight Shimo. In this scene, we see a cocoon-shaped object that looks very similar to Mothra's cocoon in King of the Monsters. There it was located in a temple in China, and as we can see, there are quite a few temples in the Hollow Earth. I believe that a Mothra egg is in one of those pyramids, and Gia is the chosen one to awaken her. That's why we see Mothra in 3 pyramids in Gia's vision. And this is probably my favorite scene. When it comes to the great and final showdown in Rio, we see Godzilla and Shimo fighting. Next to them is Kong, who is trying to take down Ska King. In the old Godzilla movies, Kong had the ability to fire lightnings. Perhaps Scar King has developed a similar ability. That's why we can't see Kong, as Scar King attacked him with this lightning. If we take a closer look, we can see that Shimo looks massive, probably twice as big as Godzilla, and even bigger when he's on his hind legs. What's also worth mentioning is that this isn't the first time Shimo and Godzilla encounter. In a Call of Duty DLC map, we see a cave painting where Godzilla fights Shimo, but it's definitely not our G-Man, but one of his ancestors. Probably this DLC was just meant to tease Shimo and has no relevance to the movie. Speaking of Godzilla, what actually happened to his design? As we can see, he has a completely new physical appearance. His dorsal plates have another shape and his body and atomic breath became purple. He obviously evolved and developed new, more powerful abilities. But why is that the case? The answer to this might be the threat in the form of Shimo. It is unclear whether Shimo trapped Godzilla in ice or whether the humans did it on purpose. But it is clear that this is the only way to trigger his new powers and activate them. And the answer to the question why these powers are necessary is given to us by this toy. Description says, Godzilla has evolved into an all-new form, now faster, stronger and more powerful. Godzilla thunders into battle with a new supercharged heat ray and city-destroying tail swipe. Heat ray, that's the answer. The only way to stop a giant ice monster is by heat. Therefore, Godzilla has developed a new fire-like ability in order to burn down Shimo. So, his atomic breath evolved into a heat ray. Thus, he got this purple dark red color. As for the relationship between Kong and Godzilla, I was a little surprised. After Godzilla vs Kong, I expected the two to be friends. They helped each other in the fight against Mechagodzilla and therefore managed to defeat him together. Kong accepted Godzilla's role as Alpha Titan and both went their own ways. But in Egypt, we see Godzilla firing at Kong, so the two still have their beef. So, that's it for this video, I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you in the next one.